Hello, my name is Jamie Miller, and I am a graduate student at Morningside College in Sioux City, Iowa, where I'm completing my master's in special education with an emphasis on special education consulting. I am also currently completing my 10th year as a special education teacher in Iowa. For my thesis research, I chose to study the effects phonics and word attack instruction has on the reading comprehension of 5th grade students. As an educator, I'm keenly aware of how much attention has been spent on improving our nation's reading scores over the past decade, with No Child Left Behind legislation passed in 2001, followed by the more recent Common Core state standards. I am also aware, as a special education teacher, how many students continue to fall below proficient in reading, and the increasing number of students being referred for special education services. It was these reasons that led me to further research reading in our country and the teaching practices that could help improve reading scores. In my research, I discovered that reading scores in the United States depict a downward trend. National reviews of state achievement have found that the number of students reading proficiently in the United States remained unaffected from 2002 until 2014. While the gap between students with and without reading disabilities in 2014 was also consistent with reading scores in 2002. Furthermore, a review of the Program for International Student Assessment identified that the United States reading progress has flatlined, with American 15-year-olds ranking 24th in the world 3 years in a row. The National Assessment of Education Progress concurs with these results, finding no statistically significant difference in reading scores of 4th grade students between 2013 and 2015. According to Reshley, those students who do not learn to read well in the early years of school lose motivation and become disinterested in reading, which impedes their reading comprehension, causing them to fall farther behind the expected standards. As those students begin to struggle, they are often faced with the realities of being retained, evaluated for special education services, or dropping out of school. Reshley found in his research that 80% of students receiving special education services have reading difficulties, and 60% of those students in special education who have reading difficulties have been retained. Furthermore, students who have been retained are 11 times more likely to drop out of school, while students with learning disabilities have an even higher dropout rate. Nearly 1/3 of public high school students in the United States will drop out of school each year. For those who drop out of high school, they not only face the realities of making approximately $46,000 a year less than those individuals who have a high school diploma, but they also have a higher rate of unemployment, report being in worse health conditions, and are more likely to become pregnant at a young age or incarcerated. For those students who beat the odds and remain in school, poor literacy skills continue to impact the individual into adulthood, as expected reading proficiency levels in the United States continue to increase. By 2020, it's predicted that 2/3 of United States jobs will require post-secondary education and complex literacy skills for success. As a result, foundational reading skills are becoming more critical in order to ensure students successfully complete school and obtain the necessary skills to thrive in society. To address this problem, I looked at research on effective practices to improve reading comprehension, finding that academic success in literacy has historically been linked to fluency. In 1908, Hugh found that decreasing decoding time makes reading less effortless. Go, LeBurg, Samuels, and Parfetti later built on this idea, disclosing that reading is a mental process that must develop in a sequential order, and that as individuals become more automatic in recognizing words, they are able to free up more of their working memory to process the meaning of the words that they're reading. Studies of literacy instruction and development all strongly support the importance of beginning at the bottom and working up with students, first teaching them the stepping stones of how to read. Unfortunately, following 3rd grade, learning to read often fades from the general education curriculum, as fluency is perceived by educators to be the focus of younger grades. As a result, students with weak phonics and decoding skills often begin the downward spiral of academic regression, beginning in 4th grade and persisting through secondary grades. In my research, I found that many studies have been conducted around the idea of increasing students' fluency. However, these studies have failed to address the general education population as a whole. Instead, efforts are often focused on those readers who are already showing signs of reading difficulty. In addition, repeated readings, which focuses only on rate and accuracy, were often the intervention used to improve students' reading fluency. Repeated readings, however, do not address the foundational skills of reading, nor has it been found to have long-reaching effects on students' reading abilities. The purpose of this research study was to address these gaps, specifically the impact of phonics and word attack instruction on the reading comprehension of upper elementary general education students. The participants in the study consisted of 18 fifth grade students from the Midwest United States. The group of students were all general education students who were not already identified as struggling readers. Out of the 18 students, 59% were male, 41% were females. Furthermore, 55% of the students qualified for free or reduced lunch. The average age of the students was 10, and the students all had the same general education teacher. The 18 participants of the study were randomly assigned to either the control group or the experimental group, with no consideration of the population subgroups reflected in the group assignments. The study was then broken into 3 phases. In the first phase, pre-test assessments occurred throughout a 4-week window. These measures were all used to collect information on both the independent variable, phonics and word attack instruction, and the dependent variable, reading comprehension. Following the pre-test measures was the intervention period, which took place for 8 weeks. Each day of the intervention period, all 18 participants participated in a 90-minute literature block, which included approximately 15 minutes of direct core instruction aligned to the 5th grade Common Core state standards. Following this core instruction, the students spent approximately 75 minutes participating in reading rotations. In addition to this 90-minute literature block, those students in the experimental group received an additional 30 minutes twice a week of phonics and word attack instruction. For the pre- and post-test measures, the Measure of Academic Progress, or MAP, assessment was used for data collection on the dependent variable, reading comprehension, while the FAST Fluency Assessment and Really Great Reading Diagnostic Decoding Survey were used for measurements of the independent variable, phonics and word attack instruction. Student progress was determined based on an analysis of students' mean scores from fall to winter on all 3 of these assessments. The core literature instruction taught throughout this study to both the control and experimental group was created and aligned to the 5th grade Common Core state standards by staff members within the district. Multiple resources were utilized in the design of the units, but the main curriculum implemented at the study site was Ready Common Core Reading. Really Great Reading's HD Word program was used for the phonics and word attack instruction provided to the 9 students in the experimental group. Students were placed into the program based on the results of their diagnostic decoding survey. The findings of the study did not support the hypothesis that phonics and word attack instruction would positively impact students' reading comprehension. According to the students' pre- and post-test results, which can be found in the table displayed, the students did not make statistically significant fluency, accuracy, or comprehension gains. The numbers did reveal, however, that providing upper elementary general education students with phonics and word attack instruction has the ability to have a moderate effect size on students' decoding and reading comprehension, as evidenced by the Cohen's D scores for the MAP assessment and Really Great Reading Diagnostic. Furthermore, as you can tell by the figure on the screen, results found that students in the experimental group made smaller gains in their reading fluency in comparison to students who did not receive the intervention. Other data, however, suggests improvement among the reading scores of the experimental group. According to the MAP assessment, the mean difference in scores among students who received the phonics and word attack instruction was nearly double that of the control group, showing that students who participated in the intervention did make greater gains in their reading comprehension in comparison to their peers. Furthermore, on the Really Great Reading Diagnostic Decoding Survey, the mean scores of the students in the experimental group were greater than that of the students in the control group. Although results of the study did not confirm the hypothesis, several implications can be drawn from the results. The results of the study found that students in the experimental group strengthened their foundational reading skills, with greater gains in decoding, as well as greater improvements in reading comprehension in comparison to their peers who did not participate in the intervention. However, students in the experimental group did not have greater gains than the control group in reading fluency, implying that the bottom-up theory, which explains that students' reading comprehension is increased as a result of shortened decoding time, could not be confirmed based on these results. Additionally, the body of research surrounding the study has once again raised awareness of the current state of reading in the United States. Students' reading scores are not improving, and the United States continues to fall behind other nations academically. It is crucial that we continue to seek out means of improving the reading scores of our nation's students, preparing them for the rapidly evolving professions emerging, both within our nation and globally. Finally, according to past research, increased phonological and morphological instruction in upper elementary can have a positive impact on the reading scores of our nation's youth. Results of the study have helped strengthen this argument, finding that students who participated in the intervention did make greater gains in decoding and reading comprehension. Educators need to continue to explore the far-reaching effect of phonemic awareness in the upper elementary grades and the implications it could have. Throughout the research, several limitations revealed themselves. First, the experimental group's mean scores were greater than those of the control group on both the MAP assessment and the Really Great Reading Diagnostic. There was also a medium effect size on both assessments, leading one to question the impact of the sample size. The pattern of these results suggests that if there was a larger sample size and the same pattern emerged once again, there would be a statistically significant difference. Second, many time constraints limited the duration of the intervention. Unforeseen changes in the district-wide testing windows shortened the intervention from what would have been 10 weeks of instruction to 8 weeks of lessons. Furthermore, conflicts with scheduling of the intervention made it impossible to be able to meet with each group daily as originally intended. Despite these time constraints, data surprisingly exposed many positive effects of the intervention, leaving one questioning the impact further intervention time would have had on the reading abilities of the students. Finally, pre-test results of the Really Great Reading Decoding Diagnostic evidenced a ceiling effect. Mean scores on the pre-assessment averaged 44 out of a total of 50 possible points, leaving minimal room for improvement. Had the students been further challenged by the diagnostic, more advanced decoding deficits may have emerged, which would have further intensified the instruction. The fact that the effect size bore a medium to large difference, given the limitations on growth and instructional recommendations, supports the impact the phonics and word attack instruction had on the reading abilities of the experimental group. With these limitations in mind, and based on the results of the study, I would recommend additional research with increased time and participants, as well as potentially a more difficult diagnostic assessment to confirm or deny the impact that phonics and word attack instruction can have on the reading skills of upper elementary students. Although many references were used within the completion of this research project, the following are a list of references cited within this presentation. Thank you for listening.